This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Saturday morning here in the Lowveld of South Africa, the northeastern corner of our beautiful country. My name is James Hendry. On camera today is David, and we're looking at the pinkening sky of the east there. Remember, for the first 45 minutes, this is a kids dedicated drive, so you can talk to us using the email address kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. It's our chilly day today, probably around, I'm going to say 17 degrees Celsius, 63 degrees Fahrenheit odd. But it's very beautiful, and we're just sitting and listening to the dawn to see if perhaps there are any alarm calls or what other sounds we can pick up in the dawn, other than just the Franklin shouting. At the moment, it's just a few Franklins going. We'll see if they're shouting at anything of significance. Going past a little water hole just next to our camp. Don't think anything's going to be drinking. We do have the ever faithful blacksmith lapwing. There it is. Now it's flying away. But as it flies away, we can go over to Sean at andBeyond Ngala, about 40 kilometers to the north of where we are. He's already got a predator munching down on some food.
Good morning, everybody. Special welcome to the kids that we have watching. Welcome to... Oh, we're just cleaning the lens. Yeah, there's a lot of mist around here. I'm sure you can see behind me a lot of mist. Quite a cold morning, as James was saying. But welcome back to andBeyond Ngala with myself, Sean. And we've got Marcel behind the camera there. And we started off the morning quite lovely with these 3 hyenas actually finishing off a buffalo carcass. So if you have a look over there, now there's actually one hyena in front of us that's calling a little bit. So very interesting. I was actually here last night. I came out tracking when Rowan was with the leopards, and I found a pride of lions on this buffalo that were eating this buffalo. Now there were about 8 lions that I counted, and on this buffalo carcass there was maybe, it was dark so it's hard to say, but I'd say there was at least 30 to 45% of the meat left on this buffalo. Now this morning Marcel and I, we raced out here to get here to see, hopefully I was expecting the lions to be here, but just the speed at which those 8 lions ate this buffalo is incredible. I mean, you can see there's just bone left. Those hyenas are licking, they are trying to get whatever little pieces of meat they could possibly find. And it's honestly, I mean, I've seen, all of these animals eat before, but to see how quickly the lions ate this buffalo, it blows my mind. It's crazy. I mean, this is all that's left. And these hyenas, they look full. I mean, they've managed to get a fair amount. Like you can see, all of their bellies are quite full, even the one that's in front of us somewhere. I can't see it, so there it is. But they've got a substantial meal. And that's the thing, the bush never ceases to surprise. And this is just beautiful with the mist. Soon the sun's going to come up, it's going to light all of this up a golden color. My son and I are quite excited. Oh, there's another hyena. So there's 5 hyenas here. There's 3 in the screen, and then there's a young one behind us. And then an older one that's just on the left here in these trees. You can't see it. So Nolly, 14 years old. Hyenas are most active at night. So hyenas mainly, they do scavenge, they do hunt as well. But now, oh, there's a vulture coming over. So Nolly, because hyenas do scavenge for a portion of their food, they have to be active when the predators are active. So now, Nolly, we're talking about sort of lions, leopards. So hyenas are most active at night. That's when the predators are active, so they can steal their food. So hot sunny day, the hyenas know, oh, the lions are sleeping, the leopards are sleeping, so then they sleep as well. So like now, these hyenas were moving around last night. They obviously smelt this carcass. Oh, the amount of vultures that are coming in. There we go. There's 3 that just arrived in the last minute. Yeah, so not only last night, they were walking around looking. They were most likely listening. And they heard the lions maybe fighting over some of the food. They heard the lions growling at each other or crunching the meat, ripping it off. And they came in to investigate. As they got closer, they smelt the carcass. And then caught all of their buddies. And this is what we're left with. It's very impressive. I was actually following yesterday afternoon. I saw a whole bunch of vultures, most likely these ones, landing down on a tree. And I was like, awesome. We were following lion tracks. And I was like, okay, that must be where they are. And I went in there. And I just found the vultures. I couldn't find any predator. So, Kristen, that is not necessarily true. I have seen hyenas hunt. I've seen them, well, I never saw them take down a buffalo, but I saw them, they were feeding on the buffalo, and they were definitely first. They were the ones that killed the buffalo. I never saw it happen, but they definitely did it. I saw them hunting a kudu once. They chased this kudu into the water, into a water hole. And it's actually, they when they do hunt hyenas, Krista, it's very impressive. They hunt a lot more than people realize. You know, because they're pack animals or clan animals. They live in groups. So there's a lot of them. They're very intelligent. They're very strong. So they hunt very, very well. Just for them, because it's easier to scavenge. You know, it's easier to steal food than it is to hunt your own food.
But they do hunt most.
But they do hunt. They do hunt a lot. I actually recently, as in this morning, posted a picture of 2 hyenas hunting that kudu at the waterhole. So it does happen. It does happen. But what we're going to do, me and myself, we're going to spend some time here, watch the vultures come in, see what these hyenas do, see what activity happens. In the meantime, while we're waiting, we'll send you back across to say hello to Trishala.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome aboard for your very own safari. What an excellent start we've had already. And now you're looking at the underside of a banded golden orb web spider. That's really interesting, isn't it? Can you see that little black spot? Actually, quite a large black spot at the top of the abdomen of the spider. That's where her spinnerets are. Isn't that cool? That's where all that lovely silk to make that web comes out of. Isn't that awesome? Hi everyone, my name is Trishala with Owen on camera this morning. It's a bit of a cool morning. It is. It's 16 degrees Celsius or 60 degrees Fahrenheit. And I think our spider friend is also feeling a little bit cold. Where have you? I can hear something in the distance. I'm just going to listen carefully. Remember, in the morning, that's the best time to listen out for animals making any sort of sounds. Interesting. I hear what sounds like barking, but it could also be a leopard soaring in the great distance. Either way, it's in the direction I'm moving, so I'll keep on doing that. Oh, look, she's cleaning her face there. Can you see that? Jolly Whiskey, you'd like to know what's the bird making the noise in the background? I think the one you're talking about is the Cape turtle dove. It's the most obvious one. In the mornings and any time of the day, actually, it says, whoop, there it's going again. It's a very iconic sound of the African bush. Oh, Spidey here doesn't make any sounds, though. Not as far as I know, at least, or not as far as I can hear. Very cool. It's nice to see the underside of the animal, because usually we see her back. Giving her legs a stretch. Now, spiders are ectothermic. They have to be, or have to receive their heat from the environment. They can't make their own heat like we can. So she needs to warm up a little bit before she can get moving. Oh, Angela, you're 12 years old, and you'd like to know, what do spiders eat? Spiders are carnivorous. They're a little predator, so they like to eat anything that flies into their web, and things that fly are usually insects. That's right. So they like to eat insects quite a lot. But do you know that even birds can get trapped in the web of a golden orb web spider because their webs are so large? But bark spiders have the largest webs of all. There's a little bit of food left. When she's done eating, you'll just get a husk left. Oh, look at these. Now these are more spiders on her web. These don't actually look like males. These look like kleptoparasites. These are other little spiders that use her web on the periphery as well. Okay, well, we're going to keep on heading north and then west, and I'll send you over to James to explain his plans for the morning.
Now, there was a great deal of worry yesterday evening. For those of you who watched the dam cam, you were worried that the Grebe's nest had been destroyed by this hippopotamus and his seemingly unwelcome friend. And you would not have been incorrect, because just to the left of that, the Grebe's nest does appear to have been somewhat destroyed. And so where, you say to yourself, have our favourite Grebes gone? Is it all over for them? Is the story of our baby Grebes finally come to a close? Well, prematurely come to a close. And the answer, everybody, is no. They are much too clever. It's probably why they've got two houses. They're back on the other nest. And in fact, the babies are having their swimming lessons already. There they are. There are the baby Grebes. Here comes Mum to feed them. Phew, they can swim. They are not slow. They look like those little floaty ducks one gets for the bath. They are not ducks. They are not ducks, of course. They are Grebes. I saw one of them dive beneath the surface yesterday, and then they both had to dive beneath the surface with Mum. They were on her back. A little bubble in front of its face, rather hoping it would peck it. They are just the most delightful little creatures. Just watch the one on the left there. I want to see what the one on the left gets something to eat, because I think the one on the right's had everything so far. I think the one on the left's a bit slow on the uptake. Yeah. Look at that. The one on the right is bigger, but remember they were born at different times, and so you'd expect that. Obviously getting a little cold in the water there. We're going to warm up a bit in Mum's feathers. The hippopotamus having a go. Now, 2 nights ago, there was suspicion that a buffalo had been murdered somewhere around here, close to the dam cam. We could find no sign of any such thing, and I suspect, or wonder, if it wasn't these 2 hippo that were having a fight somewhere close-ish by, because it does sound almost identical to a buffalo being killed when they have a big fight. Ross, they put their heads under the water because that's where they go and catch their food. There are insects under the water and other kinds of water invertebrates or creepy crawlies, and that's why they dive under the water. Omar, age 6, it looks to me like grebes and ducks are not actually that closely related. And so they've got similar strategies for living. It means they both swim. They've both got slightly webbed feet, or they've both got webbed feet, but the grebe's feet look very different in design when you see them next to an Egyptian goose's or another duck's feet. And you can see their beaks are very different. Their beaks don't look like flat duck beaks at all. And so they're just not related birds that have learned to live in the same kinds of habitats, or evolved to live in the same kinds of habitats. Right, we're going to move on from here, see if we can't find something else down the road. While we do that, let's go back to Sean. He's still with his feeding voracious predators.
Okay, so we are still here. Now it's becoming a bit louder from these hyenas. It's also become a lot lighter, which helps us. But there's a lot more crunching happening now. I think these... Oh, did you see that? So what just happened there? Some ground birds off to the left just panicked. They alarm called and they flew up into the trees. And I remember I said there was a pride of lions here last night. So those hyenas heard those birds alarm calling and thought possibly lions are coming back for their carcass, and the hyenas then just bolted. Now that they know, okay, the birds, it could have been another bird that spooked them or something like that, now you'll see them slowly come back. They're very nervous hyenas because they know that they stole this carcass. So they don't know where the lions went. Did the lions go far away, or did they just move 100 meters away and now they're coming back? You know, the hyenas, although they are big and strong, they're actually very scared animals. They're scared of a lot of things. Like, he's not going to, but even if Marcel jumped out now and ran at this carcass, the hyenas would run away. They're very scared animals, like we just saw. They look all mean, you know, especially now. I'm going to keep quiet soon when they're back and they're eating. And you'll hear the crunching of the bone. Because now they've finished most of the food, so now they're crunching the bone, getting the bone marrow, the calcium, that sort of thing. And you can hear it. It's pretty intense. And it makes them sound very scary and stuff. So we'll listen. And actually, they're not doing it right now, but watch them eat. Watch how they use the side of their mouth. So there's some vultures landed on the ground, and now the vultures just took off and landed in the tree. And that's why they panicked again. These guys are stressing. So that would suggest that they haven't been here too long. It could be that the lions only left here maybe half an hour ago, and the hyenas just moved in. So that's why they're still a bit panicky. You know, if the lions left 2 hours ago, maybe the hyenas would be slightly more relaxed. What I was saying is, watch when they eat. Now, there was a third one. I don't know where it's gone. Maybe they got very scared and still running. But they use the side of their mouths to crunch and break the bone. You can actually see now they're trying to... Look at the one on the right. Yeah, there we go. Look how he's trying to get his mouth in between, you know, those two sort of... So the vertebra, that's the spine that you're looking at all the way down there. And he's trying to get in the little L shape and sort of get that little pieces of meat, sinew that is stuck in there that the lions can't reach. Their mouths are too big, their teeth are not strong enough. See, now watch him. See how he's using the side of his mouth? That one there, to try and break the bone. Now listen. So he didn't crunch there. You can see he's got quite a big bone there. It could be the pelvic bone that he's trying to eat around there. Quite a thick, dense bone. They're struggling to break that one. But Marcel and I, we can hear another hyena much further back, sort of where these hyenas are looking now, calling. So I don't know if you saw that, but there's probably close on 10, maybe 12 vultures around us. And that vulture movement will attract other hyenas to this area. Also, just the smell and the noises will attract other hyenas. And I'm hoping we're going to start hearing a lot more vocalization, a lot more calling from the surrounding areas. So Taylor, 10-year-old Taylor living in Vietnam, no, they won't. So if you can see here, look at the head of the buffalo, look at the horns. So that's the black section on the left-hand side. Now those horns are very, very thick. This is a male buffalo. So his horns are very thick. His skull is very dense. They fight with their heads. They just run into each other. And that density in the skull, in the horns, means that even the hyenas can't break through that. They can't crunch through those bones. So they will not eat the head, Taylor, no. It's just there's too much even for them. And it's not really worth it. You know, you go for these other rib bones and there's still bits of meat and sinew and a slight little bit of flesh, and then you get the marrow and all of that on the inside. So it's worth the effort, with the skull not really. So Jason, look at this carcass here. Look what's left. You can see 95% of this carcass is bone. There's very little meat here, Jason. So Jason wants to know why they eat bone, why the hyenas eat bone. And Jason, that's mainly because by the time they get to a carcass, especially from lions, all that's left is bone. You know, sometimes these hyenas will hunt themselves, like we said, and when they do hunt for themselves, they eat meat. They prefer meat. You know, meat's much tastier, it's much easier to eat, it's got a lot more sort of minerals and that sort of thing that they need. But when they steal, because they scavenge, it's generally just bones that are left. So they've adapted to survive off of the bone. They've got the strongest jaws out here, they can crack through that bone, and it's all just adaptation. Look at the vultures on the ground there, coming in for any little morsels that he can get. But Jason, yeah, it's purely because they scavenge, so they get their last when the meat is all gone, and then they have to eat bone. Okay, here comes the third hyena. So we're going to listen. Marcel can see a fourth one, yes, just there on the left where that vulture went. Oh, no, hyena's going. You see that little baby vulture chase the vulture away. Okay, but we're going to sit here, we're going to spend some more time here, see how this develops. In the meantime, we're going to send you back across to James.
We've got some beautiful giraffes walking across the clearings here towards what looks like a fallen down gardenia tree. I'm sure this is the same group of giraffes we've been watching for the last few days. They tend to come in and hang around for a while and then disappear. The sun is catching them beautifully. The sun's just peeped up. Very quiet Saturday morning though, there's not a lot of bird song just yet. Bit of mist. And like I say, not a very warm day just yet, but I think it'll be lovely. It's obviously a very delicious tree if so many of them have come to it. Pushed over by the elephants, appreciated by the giraffes. Hello, Molly, age 14, is obviously a bit of a giraffe fundi. This subspecies of giraffe, Molly, is called the southern giraffe. So this is a pretty easy one. Now there are a number of different subspecies of giraffe, and I can never remember because they keep changing who's who and what. If you want to know about what subspecies are, full website, just giraffe.org actually, and it gives you, if there have been changes since I last looked. At last counting, I think they decided there were 3 species of giraffe, 9 subspecies. And what we have here is the southern giraffe. I think let's go a little bit further up the road there and see if we don't get a better view. Quite a lot of moisture around today. Oh, this will be a nice shot. Hello, Owen. I seem to forget I often forget that we don't always explain these birds which you've asked about. They are the oxpeckers. And those oxpeckers like to eat ticks or other kinds of parasites on the giraffe's body. And sometimes they even eat the giraffe's blood. So if the ticks or other parasites open up the giraffe's skin, then sometimes those ticks will eat their skin. I'm not sure if we'll get decent backlight here or if it'll just look ridiculous. We'll try. Too much? That's quite pretty, isn't it? Holes in their heads or horns on their heads? Horns. Oh, hello Heidi in New Zealand. Wondering about the horns on the giraffe's head. Let's just go a little bit forward and we might get a nicer view behind this bush. Heidi, they've got horns on their heads, the males mainly for fighting, but I'm not really sure. We don't really know why the females should have those horns. Strictly speaking, Heidi, they're not horns. They're known as ossicones. And the difference is that a horn is fused to the skull. It grows out of the skull and is normally grows, sort of after birth. These guys are born with their ossicones. It's an extremely noisy and ill-mannered impala in front of us. Oin Driller, is that your name? Oin Driller? Alright, Oin Driller, quite a name you've got there. I wonder if you gave it to yourself, if your parents gave it to you. Oin Driller, the giraffes are so long. Every part of a giraffe's long is because it's long. It's a long animal. It's a very tall animal. It has evolved to be very long for various reasons that nobody can agree on. But in order to be that tall, it's got to have long bones. It's got to have long metacarpal bones in the legs. It's got to have long upper leg bones. It's got to have long vertebra to make its neck long. That's why it's long, I guess. I mean, it would look a little silly if it had a long neck and a very short foot, hey? Alright, we'll leave our giraffe, carry on and see what else we can find. You go back up to those hyenas, which are still a little bit skitty, but still feeding.
You can see now these vultures are getting a lot braver. So there's just that one hyena feeding now. The other two are standing very close by, but only the one feeding, and that's what's made these vultures a little bit braver. Now they're like, okay, we can get closer. This hyena can share, but just like the hyenas, there's an order. The lions go first, and then the hyenas, and the hyenas are scared of of the lions. Then after the hyenas is the vultures, and that makes the vultures scared of the hyenas. So everyone's got someone, above them or before them that they're scared of. Now have a look at the difference here. So we just keep cleaning the lens because there's a lot of mist. Okay, Livy, that is a very interesting question from 11-year-old South African Livy, sorry. Now have a look at that vulture at the back there, Livy. So that is a hooded vulture. So at the moment, all we have seen is this one, the hooded vulture, which is the smallest vulture species that we get here. And then there's also a white-backed vulture that is a little bit further off, just where you saw that hyena run. There's a white-backed vulture on the ground over there. And they're slightly bigger birds than these hooded ones, which makes them a little bit slower to take off. And that's why they stay a little bit further away. Because you saw that the hyena went after the vulture, that little hooded one, and it could take off very quickly. Where the white-backed is significantly bigger, so it takes a little bit longer to take off. So he's a bit more hesitant to get close to the hyenas. So that one flying, it landed. That's okay, there'll be more. Was a white-backed vulture. So at this carcass at the moment, there's only those two. But look at the difference in the hyenas. Look at the one on the far right. Look how big it is. Look at its coloring. Then look at the other two. Quite a lot smaller. Quite a lot darker as well. So now you've seen those little hyenas at Djuma, and you see that they are black. Full on black. So that's how they start, and then as they get older, they change color and they go more this sort of brown, like the one on the right. So you can see these two here are still quite young. Exact age, I'm not 100% sure, a few months old.
We've got a tag vulture here.
But much darker in color. I mean, we can't see for now. We're going to stay where we are. We've got a good view. So, Sebastian, these are spotted hyenas. You can see the little spots on them. So, Sebastian wants to know what hyenas these are and what hyenas we have. So, yes, these are the spotted ones, and here at andBeyond Ngala, we only really see the spotted hyenas. There's another one called the brown hyena. I have never seen one in my life, and I don't think one has been seen on Ngala, not that I am aware of. So here, Sebastian, we just get these spotted hyenas. You go more, I think northern parts of Kruger, you can find brown hyena.
Yeah.
If you go closer to Cape Town, you can find hyenas there, and like the Karoo. Namibia has brown hyenas. Yeah, aardwolf occurs sometimes as a type of hyena, but not what you would expect.
And then the striped is northern Kenya.
Yeah, and you get some up in sort of East Africa. But now watch that one hyena there on the furthest one away from us, sort of facing our direction, chewing on those little bits of vertebra. Now you can see some of them are actually a bit fragmented. Some of them are already been broken, already been chewed on.
There's a tag vulture here.
So Marcel's saying just behind the bush here on the left, in front of that buffalo's head, there's a vulture with a tag. Now vultures are actually almost endangered, they're threatened. So their numbers are very, very low. And so there's a lot of them that do have tags for conservation reasons, kind of keep track of them, see where they're nesting, where they're moving, so they can be better sort of monitored, protected almost. So some of them will have tags. Hopefully that vulture will come out and we can have a look.
No, I haven't been able to check the number yet.
Yeah. I can't actually even see the vulture, so hopefully when it does come out we will be able to get the number. So all the tags do have numbers, and then we can get information where this bird was tagged, where it goes, that sort of thing. So it'll be interesting to know where this vulture flew from to get here. So if we do get a look, we will try and get that information for all of you. That'll be quite interesting actually.
If we reverse a little bit, yeah, he's coming in.
Okay, so just keep watching. Marcel says it might be moving in this direction. But look, we're going to spend some time here. Once these hyenas do move off, then the vultures are going to come in. And what I'm going to do again, I'm going to keep quiet shortly. so you can hear the noises of these hyenas. And then just remember that.
A283, I want to say.
Here we go, a question all the way from Canada with 8-year-old Keegan. Keegan wants to know what sort of animals hyenas eat. Keegan, hyenas will eat anything. Whatever they can get their sort of mouths on, hey? I've seen them eat buffaloes, I've seen them eat elephants, I've seen them eat impalas, I've seen them eat duikers, scrub hares, baboons. So literally anything that they can scavenge, they will try and eat. They're not very picky. You know, being a scavenger, Keegan, you eat what you get. You know, whatever nature offers up to them, they will eat. Just happened to be today, this morning, the lions caught the buffalo maybe 2 nights ago, and now that's what the hyenas get. If the lions caught a wildebeest, the hyenas would eat the wildebeest, or the zebra, or the impala, whatever it may be. Not picky. Oh, Xavier, that's a very interesting question. So the front legs, Xavier, from Singapore, are much longer because hyenas are built for certain, they've adapted to certain circumstances. So, you know, hyenas, as we said, they scavenge, so they come in, they grab a piece of meat generally, and then they run away with it. Or they need to cover very long distances at a fairly high pace. So this body structure, the longer front legs, allows them to carry more weight. Look how big their shoulders are, look how long their necks are. So they can carry weight and they can move with it. They can run with it. I once saw a hyena with the half of an elephant's leg in its mouth, and this hyena was sort of trotting away. Yeah, and that's all. His body structure, his longer legs allow him to carry heavy things and move with it. And if he's running, he can sort of gallop, for want of a better word, at a much higher consistent speed. So he can run fast for a long time because of his structure. Oh, sorry, just look at that little baby one trying to eat the horns. Now remember, we just discussed that, saying how they're going to struggle to eat the head because it is just so thick and so dense. And you saw that little one try. Looks like he couldn't get a good grip anywhere there. And they thought, nope, that's not going to work for me. And then off he went. You see, it looks like they've eaten the top jaw of that buffalo. What you can see, there's just there's the tag. There's the vulture with the tag. Everyone look. There it is. Yeah. So that's a white-backed vulture we're discussing. So the one on the right, hooded, the one with the tag, looks like a white-backed vulture. You can see quite a lot bigger. Oh, you see the hyena's getting nervous now. Oh, so you see how much those bigger ones struggle to take off there, quite a bit slower than those little ones. It's amazing how quickly those vultures come in as soon as those hyenas leave. Now I was telling you earlier to listen to the noises of the hyenas while they're crunching and breaking. But we're going to sit here until the hyenas leave, because when the vultures feed, that is an incredible experience. Because the vultures, like now, we've got 2-3 hyenas feeding at a time. When the vultures come in, they come in sort of 10, 12, 15, 20 of them. And it sounds like a bunch of velociraptors eating. It sounds like velociraptors, and it is crazy. So we're going to sit around here until then. Patience again. But it's come to that time of the show where we thank the kids very, very much for all of your questions. I do find them very entertaining. And you're welcome to continue obviously watching and asking questions. But we're going to be now taking questions from all of our viewers. So please remember, we use the hashtag on Twitter and at FC on the YouTube channels. Getting much lighter now. You can see still a little bit hazy, still a bit of mist in the background of the picture there. Adding a nice bit of ambience to our sighting here. The vulture in the grass. But as I said, we're going to wait here. We're going to watch these hyenas, see if they leave, see when the vultures come in. So while we sit here and watch, we're going to send you across to Charlotte, see how she is doing.
Hello everyone, I am doing well, thank you Sean. I was tracking a gymnogene with my eyes, that is. And it just decided to fly off at least twice. Oh well, I'm going to keep on looking. The light is beautiful, and of course everyone else is now on board with us. And you remember, you can send your questions using hashtag WildEarth, YouTube chat stream, Twitch. Chat to us. We love talking to you guys too. It's a nice wintry morning, which I quite like. It was, when we started drive, 16 degrees Celsius, 60 degrees Fahrenheit. And I was hoping that that would mean a little bit more predator activity. So I'm hanging about in the north today. James is down in the south. Doing our best to pick up on some tracks, of which I only see Hyena now. Picking up on some tracks and also listening out. I heard, well, what's really nice is because of the beautiful scenery today, I've been stopping along the way to just listen carefully. But I haven't heard anything too obvious just yet. Of course, the impalas are still being very boyish and have the testosterone coursing through them, which they will be for a little bit, actually for a while longer. This month is the month for the impalas. But no alarm calls, anything like that. Either way, I'm going to scour the northern roads in the hopes of finding a leopard. I was saying to Darby yesterday, I just want to see one. It's been such a long time, I just want to see a leopard. But I know that Hukamuri likes this particular path, so I'm just going to keep it around here for a little bit while it's still nice and cool. See if we get lucky. Although I've been looking for Hukamuri many times these last few weeks. Still unlucky. But Tlalamba last night was in the north, as you would have known, because James was looking for her. She was heading in a northwesterly direction, and I did have a look there, but didn't pick up anything. Also went to Sydney's Dam, had a look on that side. Nothing there either. Sometimes you can see, apparently there have been wild dogs there. Some of the Torchwood guys reported that. There have been lions there quite a few times, and most recently I saw about 5 giraffe there. So it's always cool to just check it out, just in case. Chilly. I hope it's not too chilly though for Ribbon's cubs to be out, and James is at the den, so let's go find out.
It's a very interesting situation here. Ribbon is there, fat as you like, and she's brought takeaways home for her youngsters and shoved it, or them, into the den. Now that looks like the horns of a yearling impala. And she's popped it into the hole of the den, and I mean, I think it's absolutely fascinating. She could only have put it there in order to feed the youngsters. She'd only have brought it back to feed them. Now, you'll still read in some places that hyenas do not bring meat back to the den for their babies. Clearly that is absolute garbage. We've certainly seen it lots of times, but if you were ever in doubt, there is the evidence required. Absolutely amazing. Maddie, in New Zealand, hyenas sleep very little at night. They sleep most of the day. I'd say they push a good 15 to 16 hours a day asleep. And then at night they're out foraging most of the time. I don't know when she picked up this bit of carcass. I also don't know if the cubs have already fed on it. I suspect they probably have, and are now sleeping with big fat meat bellies and milk bellies. Her belly is also massively full. She's eaten a huge amount. Alright, I'm going to sit here for about, 10 minutes or so and see if something happens. While I do that, let's go off to the Drakensberg, where Taylor has managed to find some signal, some light, and a greeting.
Everybody, there, a plant trying to connect some pollen, perhaps. My name is on camera. We are at Karongwe Game Reserve, and it's a little bit chilly today, but I suppose that is to be expected, as winter is well on its way. But I'm going to draw your attention. Something here. Can you see where my finger is? Obviously, I'm sure you can, but there is a freshly caught creature. Can you see it? It's a fly. To put it like that again, and then behind the fly. Can you see it? Okay, I'm going to move my hand away. But sadly, they've all gone to bed. They're a nocturnal species of spider. So the poor fly, and I suspect it was the one that was buzzing around my face earlier, has now landed and got trapped in the very sticky web. And it is still alive. It was moving and struggling around, but I don't see any spiders. There we go. Now it's moving, desperately trying to get out, but unfortunately, it's not going to go anywhere. That web is so sticky, and it has all its legs. Okay, right, I'm going to stay here with the fly and the community nest spider, and off we go back to James at the den.
Not great sound coming out of Karongwe this morning. We'll sort that out, hopefully. Nothing has happened here, so I suspect that the action that there was has probably died down. They must have been deeply excited when she brought back that lovely takeaway of impala skull with horn. But the big question is, where did it come from? Did she whack it herself, or did she steal it from someone else? And given the fullness of her belly, it wouldn't surprise me if she could have done either, but she ate quite a lot of it, I think. Finally, the birds have started to call as it's warmed up a bit. Now, potentially these things will suckle for up to a year, probably closer to 6 months, but it's interesting that they've already started eating meat at what must be, 6 weeks now? Assuming they were a week old when I got back 5 weeks ago. And Ribbon is not fast asleep. She keeps waking up and looking around the place. possibly because she's so uncomfortable because her belly is so fat. None of the animals out here think to themselves, oof, I should be abstemious now, I might be putting on a bit. Mahi, aged 10 in India. Potentially this hyena could live to 15 or 16 years. It's most likely she'll only live to about 12 though, 10 or 12. And that's because they live very hard lives. And those hard lives are quite violent. It's got to search hard for a food. And so quite often their lives are limited as soon as they start getting a little bit older or a little bit weakened by age. They get killed. But I suspect in captivity you may even be able to raise one to 20 years, but I think that would be extremely old. Not that you should try and keep one in captivity. It really is amazing how the sun has brought the place alive. Crested barbets, emerald-spotted wood doves, Cape turtle doves, hornbills, chin-spot batises, bearded woodpeckers, long-billed crombecs. Laughing doves, black-headed oriole. This poor old impala won't be hearing too much more by way of dawn chorus though. Well, I don't think we're going to hang around here for much longer. I don't think anything's really going to happen. 2 more minutes until 7 o'clock and then we'll head out. Maybe come back a bit later. Cat, in theory, a hyena could eat around about, what is it? Well, there's another hyena, also very fat. Possibly Comet. Cat about, what we say, 20%, 15 kilos in one sitting, maybe 10 to 15 kilograms of meat in one sitting. They won't eat that every day though. Be lucky to get that once every sort of 3 or 4 days. Let's follow this one down here. Okay, Sean's hyenas are a lot more active than these hyenas, so let's go back to them. And I think I'll continue and maybe pop back here a little bit later.
So now we've had a bit of activity. So some of the hyenas, they're leaving more and more. So you can see those 2 little ones have gone. I'm not sure exactly where they went. They went behind us and now I can't see them anymore. Now he's got this one big one feeding. Now watch this other one. It might actually chase this one. But now you must see, as soon as the hyenas leave, those vultures get involved very, very quickly. But everyone's still quite nervous. They keep looking off to their left, the left of the screen. So I think quite possibly that's the direction that the lions left in. And that's where they keep searching. So further down there, not far, maybe 200-300 meters, is our eastern boundary with another reserve. So a very high chance that the lions crossed out, because this is where they come from, the other reserve. We don't see them very often. And I think they came in here, ate, and now they went back onto their side. So we'll go have a look there when we leave here. But I think that's why the hyenas keep studying that direction. Now you can see, look at that hyena, he's licking the bone there, trying to get the little bits of meat in between the rib cages. I think they call them the intercostal muscles. And that's what these hyenas are after, little bits of flesh that's in there. So now we wait and see. But you can see now it's going to get louder in terms of more crunching. Because of the lack of meat, and now these hyenas have to crunch through the bone or around the bones to get into those little pieces that you can see, the little red bits, that's all the meat that's left. So now I am actually going to keep quiet for like a minute, and we can just listen to the sounds. You can see how the hyena just actually moved that whole carcass, at least the head of it. Even though it's just bone, it still weighs quite a lot. But we've got a question from Mars, wanting to know why the vultures are a lot more comfortable with the hyenas than they are with, say, the lions. So Mars, I think the lions just defend their food a lot more actively, a lot more aggressively than the hyenas would. You know, the lions, they will, especially the little cubs, the younger ones, they will chase those hyenas. The vultures, it's like a game for them, Mars, especially the cubs. They'll run after the vultures, chase them away. And also the lions, they will try and chase the vultures away. Firstly, so the vultures eat their food. And because vultures bring other activity, you know. We see vultures, we go and have a look. It's the same with hyenas, it's the same with lions. If lions see vultures, they will go and investigate what's happening. So maybe the lions just chase the vultures away a bit more because they think the vultures might attract other attention that they don't want. And the hyenas, you know, they just scavenging. There's not much meat left there. You know, look at this difference, Mars, in obviously their size. I mean, hyenas substantially bigger than the vultures. Their mouths much, much bigger. The vultures have got these little hooked beaks. They can reach. Oh. You see that? Crazy. All the hierarchy. In comes the hyena, out goes the vultures. But, you know, the vultures can get to the pieces of meat that the hyenas can't. I don't know, hyenas are very intelligent animals, but, you know, maybe they know, I'm not going to get that meat. I'm busy eating here, the vulture can eat there, it doesn't make a difference. And the vultures are just a lot more comfortable with that, they don't get chased as often. But you can see a hyena gets close, the vulture flies away. Sometimes you'll see hyenas actually sort of snatching at vultures. Especially the younger ones, these little cubs will try and, you know, jump. I've seen them try and jump and grab a vulture. And then you'll see the vultures move further away. But now, because these hyenas haven't really chased the vultures actively all that much, it's okay. Yeah, so that is a white-backed vulture. You can actually see that little white patch along its back. It's just sunning itself there, trying to warm up. They get very, very hot often. The little mites and that sort of thing that are in between the feathers will come out from underground or from within the feathers because they're very hot, so they'll come out and the vulture can get rid of them. So he's got a nice little perch on the tree there, back to the sun, just trying to soak up all of that warmth. Now we got that happening just there, but there's a number of vultures around on the trees doing similar things. Like we said, because it's a white-backed vulture, you know, it's a bigger one, so maybe he's just like, I'm going to wait. As soon as those hyenas leave, like properly leave, he will swoop in, he will chase the little white-backed vultures, the little hooded vultures away, and then he will come in and get his food. So it's very interesting, you know, the animal interactions that we are seeing here. You know, for me, you know, you see every now and then a little bit of chasing. But what I was going to say is, you know, for me, because I see these animals quite regularly, it becomes a lot about animal behavior and animal interaction. And the interactions that we are seeing now are incredible. I mean, with the hyenas and how nervous they are because of the lions were here and the vultures now coming in, but they're scared of the hyenas. I mean, it's awesome. Yes, so while we do wait for, you know, all the vultures to come back, the hyenas to come back after their little chase, what we're going to do is send you back across to Djuma, where they got some giraffe.
Hello, hello, hello.
That's good.
Good, good. You can hear me? Sorry, guys. I'm glad you can hear me now. But I was saying, yay, says Louise. Yes, indeed. She is absolutely stunning. There's a couple more around, all trying their best to get some of that juicy goodness in. Again, like our giraffe yesterday, she's snacking on some buffalo thorn. And just like our giraffe from yesterday, there is a weaver's nest at the bottom of the tree that is going for a bit of a roller coaster ride. Now, yesterday's giraffe, there were two weaver's nests that goes bouncing about. And the giraffe that was a male yesterday actually dropped the one nest after we were talking about how what a roller coaster it must be. There it is, swinging about. Oh, there's a tropical tent spider in there too, also having the ride of its life. And she's been doing the same thing, moving around the tree. I think you're right, Lou. Lou says she thinks the tropical tent web spiders actually enjoy the little bouncy bits when the giraffe's eating. I think I agree with you, Lou. Oh, that light is just stunning on her. You can actually hear her pull the leaves. Oh, that was a tough one. I love how the little hairs on her chin are lit up by the light as well. So peaceful. Oh, it's almost making me fall asleep. I can hear a black-headed oriole in the background. Freya and Nicholas, you'd like me to tell you more about the humming noise that giraffes make. Did I hear that correctly, Lou? I myself have not heard the humming noise that giraffes make. In fact, I haven't heard them make any noise at all. Apart from a slight huff, I have heard a huff from them when they go. It goes. but I haven't heard a humming noise. But I tell you what, Freya and Nicholas, I will go and read up on what you're talking about. You say they make a humming noise, like something like that. That would be really interesting, because most animals do have a means of communication that is audible. That means something that we can hear. So it'd be awesome to know what the hums mean. Considering that it is a hum, I would think that it would be a very low sound or low frequency sound, which makes sense if it's a large animal. Giraffes are the tallest mammal, and they're very, very large. And animals that are bigger produce lower frequency sound. We call that infrasonic. So we might not be able to hear the hum. Oh, look at that neck. So skinny for that head. Gorgeous mohawk. At this angle, the neck looks very skinny.
Ostrich.
Yes, a bit like an ostrich. Just lovely. And Jan, you say that giraffes usually hum at night so they can stay in contact with one another? Very cool. Giraffes usually have a fission-fusion society. That means they come together and they separate and they come together. And they also move quite vast distances. So I wonder if that kind of thing is something that's been noticed in the wild, or is it something that's been noticed for giraffes in captivity? Either way, they can do it, so it must mean that they can communicate. Whether at night or not, I would think, at least in the wild. How's that stare? You can hear impalas in the background going. Louise does a great impression of them, by the way. Imagine what this giraffe must be humming to the other giraffes that are nearby. Probably. Can you believe how noisy these impala rams are these days? That's what it's saying to the others. Very cool. Oh, James has 3 little squirrels. Let's go to them before they hop away.
Look, we've got a tree full of 6 squirrels sunning themselves happily. While we look at them and marvel at their extreme cuteness, we did follow that hyena, and she went down into the drainage line here where we are sitting, or next to which we're sitting. She doesn't seem to have popped out yet, but we couldn't follow her, so we had to come all the way around because the bush got too thick. So I don't know if she was heading off perhaps to try and retrieve more of whatever it is that they stole, or if she was just going off to have a rest somewhere. I'm not sure. We'll keep poking around here for a little while and see if we don't come up with anything. But that is very cute. That's wonderful. Quite a nice life to be a squirrel, I think. There is a bit of a hierarchy, especially amongst the males. But this doesn't look like it's particularly rigorously enforced. It looks like a very pleasant way to spend a Saturday morning. Especially those of you who are used to going off for various kinds of human grooming. And have been unable to do so for the last little while. I think these are all relatively young. He looks like he's a bit depressed, the one being given a rub, and that the other one is giving him a rub in order to cheer him up. Now, Kristen, they do have territories that are, I'm not sure how permanent their territories are, but they will defend them from conspecifics that invade. And they're centered around a tree, certainly, but they're not just on a tree. So it's not just necessarily a tree. Someone was asking yesterday on Twitter, and I forget exactly who it was, about whether or not squirrels are the only mammals that bury food to store for the winter. And I don't know if that's true or not. These guys don't necessarily do it only for the winter. They bury marula nuts, I think sometimes when they're too full, and they just save them for later. They'll often do it obviously while no one else is looking, so that only they know where they've put it. It's very sweet. Interestingly, while this is a very sweet thing to be watching, oh, there's a tiny baby there. They will often, wait for this one, everyone. They will often mark each other's bodies by dragging the anal glands over each other. So, some kind of in-group scent, I guess. Wow. So these groups apparently do establish territories that are maintained by the adult male, or the adult males, but I don't think that they're particularly strict about it. They certainly wander out of their territories, apparently. Linda, you say every time they scratch you start to get itchy yourself, and Louise is agreeing with you that she has the same problem. Yes, sympathetic itching. I don't suppose that's that surprising. I feel very relaxed when they're being aloe groomed like this. I feel like I'm having a virtual massage. Probably not quite as good. And now I guess they're sufficiently warm that it's time for them to head off and do some foraging. No, Rosie, these are not introduced. These are naturally occurring. Bush squirrels, or tree squirrels as they're called. So they are not introduced in the slightest. There are lots and lots of different squirrel species throughout Africa. This one's been left behind by his friends. The friends are now off on the left there, out in the open. Looks like he's frozen. But with a very slight breeze moving the tree. Definitely having a sulk, this one. He looks lonely and sulky. He looks like the kind of fellow who really wants to be part of the group but is cross with one of them, and they're saying to him, come on, let's go and get some breakfast. And he says, no, I don't want to go with any of you. No, I'm fine. I'll be all right over here on my own. I'm okay. Don't worry about me. No, really, it's fine. I'm better off here on my own. No friends. Right, I've got no further sign of this hyena, so we'll just do a little loop around and then I think vacate the area to somewhere else. I don't know where Trishala is at this stage, but by now she's probably driven most of the reserve, unless she's on quarantine clearings, to the clearings outside of camp with the same giraffe we had. Ooh. Very nice. Over to Karongwe now, where Taylor has managed to find the things that have entertained us most about Karongwe over the last little while.
Oh my goodness, well, the surprise here at Karongwe Game Reserve is the fact that after driving round and round and round for the last hour and 20 minutes, we have successfully managed to find the female cheetah and her two cubs, all thanks to Alex. It was a great team effort today. We've been scanning and scanning and scanning. Now, she's quite far off-road. Alex, how far do you think that is?
Sure, 70, actually no, about 30 meters.
Okay, maybe about 30 meters, but with the density of the bush, it makes it at about 150 meters. No, not really, but how Alex managed to spot her through this I have absolutely no idea. But it was quite chilly, it was quite cool last night, so I think that she's found herself a nice little spot on the rocks there, which are nice and warm and also going to dry off. You may hear a few cars buzzing on past. You know, the usual when we're with this female cheetah, as the area she likes to hang around is down in the south. But this is fantastic. I'm so chuffed. Apologies again for all the audio breakups that we have been having in the few segments. We are trying to work on these to the best of our ability, but I think that cheetah cubs make up for this, don't you? Now, I can't see if she's had a meal just yet. We'll get to that in a minute. What I am happy about, though, is that they're both, well, not both, all three of them are grooming themselves. You can see Mom's doing a really good job. However, the young cubs haven't quite learned how to groom themselves particularly well. So they are definitely still working on that process. Mom's going to do most of the work, but they're trying and they're jumping to their feet. They're getting very excited. I think that they're going to start playing, and fingers crossed that they do come straight down to where we are. Dark Tranquility coming in with the jokes this morning, saying that I found a female cheetah and her two honey badgers. Yeah, that's exactly it. Just for the next few months they're going to look like honey badgers, but that white mantle, that fluff that you see on their backs is slowly going to start to disappear. You'll be so shocked if you've never followed the life of young cheetah cubs before as to how quickly they do grow up. There we go. Now she's up on her feet. Probably do a nice big stretch for us. No? Come on, you got to do a cat stretch. She's just looking at the distance, deciding where she is going to move. That's actually a nice spot that she's got there. It's perfect amount of sun. I wonder if she was sleeping there the whole night. We've sort of let her be for the last couple of drives. I think we were with her not yesterday afternoon, but the afternoon before that. Like I keep saying, I don't want to put too much pressure on her. She's very relaxed, but I think she's also entitled to her privacy and to let her do her thing. It doesn't look like she's had something to eat just yet, so she still looks quite slender, but we will be able to confirm that when we get a better view. You can see that she doesn't have a big bulging belly. Not today anyways. But it would be very nice if she did climb down off that rock and walk towards us. All the birds are starting to wake up this morning too. It's actually a really, really nice chorus today. When there's no cars coming past. Oh, little one's going to climb up the tree. Cheetah are very adventurous. They do like to climb, or at this age they're probably clambering over more things than actually climbing. Their legs are still so wobbly, and it's evident when you see them trotting down the roads. Here we go, now she's coming down. This is great. We're going to actually stay put where we are. We're not going to move too much. So we might lose sight of them as they start to move, but hopefully they come in our direction. Or if they keep going in this way, they're eventually going to pop out into the open area where we had that fantastic sighting 2 afternoons ago. It's a bit of a sodic site, but there is a road that runs right through the middle of it. Right, I think we're going to lose them, so we'll maybe shuffle up a little bit forward. We haven't quite decided just yet, but while we wait for her to come out and decide to do what she wants to do, off we go back to a Trishala in the Sabi Sand.
Oh, those cheetahs are just awesome, aren't they? Now we have some vultures. Hello, you guys. What are you looking for? Now, vultures will normally sit on a tree like this, waiting for the air to warm up, which should be quite soon, so that they can get their hefty bodies off and around. Ooh, we have a hooded as well. Is that a hooded? Yeah, that's not a hooded vulture at all. Let's go to the one on the left.
That's full zoom, huh?
Oh, that's the full zoom.
Yeah, far.
That's very cool. Is that a white-headed vulture there? That is amazing. That is my first white-headed vulture. That is awesome. Now, this is as much as we can zoom. So there's 2 white-backed vultures on the right, and then there's 1 white-headed vulture on the left. That is amazing. That is gorgeous. It's first one for me. I hope that you've all got your bird lists out so that you can put that down too. That is awesome. Now they have a red end of their beak, and it's kind of bluish closer to their mouths. That is too cool. Hello, you. What are you doing here? They're uncommon, which is really nice. And of course, they are vulnerable, like all of the vultures around here. Buddy Wiser, you'd like to know if we see leopard-faced vultures here? We do get them. Oops, sorry, I'm just getting my web off of my mic. We do get them, but I haven't seen have I seen a leopard-faced vulture? I think I have, actually. It was, I think it was a Cheetah. That is just great. Ooh. That is awesome. At first I thought it was just the shadow and the sun creating shadows on a normal white-backed vulture, and then I see, whoa, that's too white at the bottom. And Lou said she could see the color in the beak, which, there we go, that's a nice example of the colors of the beak just when it turned its head. Now these vultures are scavengers, just like the other vultures, but they also make their own kills, which is really, really cool. They will go after small mammals and things like that, but not always very small ones. They go after like African wildcats and things like that. So that's great. Even the occasional monkey. almost entirely confined to protected areas. So this is an awesome find. In South Africa, there's only about, or in Africa rather, only about 7,000 to 12,000 of them. Wow. I'm just going to tell you the amounts that we get around here. Consulting detective, you say it's such a special sight. It certainly is. Here's a couple stats for you to tell you just how special it is. I'm reading off my bird app here. South Africa and Swaziland, there's estimated 80 to 120 pairs. That is amazing. Wow, I am so excited. I hope that you guys are too. Just chilling and waiting. Wow, it's vultures all around. So we've got white-backed, white-headed, and now Sean at andBeyond Ngala has got a hooded vulture, as well as some hyenas bouncing about. So let's go and see.
Very nice. A lot of vulture activity this morning. Nice to see quite a few cool species there across the Djuma. Very exciting. But yeah, 3 of the hyenas have now disappeared. They all sort of trotted away fairly quickly, including this one. But then it decided to come back. We had some vultures coming down, especially these little hooded guys. But when this hyena came back, they went away. So I think soon, this is the hyena. I don't know if you were watching, how much attention you were paying. There's always one hyena sort of on the periphery, on the edges, coming in and then getting chased away. And then coming in, chased away. So that's this one. So I don't think this one's eaten too much. So now that the other ones are gone, I think it's maximizing its opportunity and it's trying to get whatever it can. Clearly not much left for it. And now that it's also by itself, it's a bit more nervous. Spent a lot more time looking around. But you can see the vultures getting much, much closer. The one just behind it, there's one on the tree just above it. And they are waiting. So you can see them. I'm also going to zoom out.
He just touched down.
Okay, he just dropped to the floor. Oh, yeah, he doesn't like the vultures. He doesn't like that. That's probably the most aggressive go at the vultures we've seen the whole morning. But now I've got reports that, remember I said the eastern boundary is quite close to here. And that is where I thought the line's headed. So we had a ranger that drove there and they said that there's no tracks of the lines crossing out there. So I think the lines are somewhere between here and that boundary. It's quite interesting that they didn't come back. I mean, yes, there's no food for them, but sometimes they still get defensive over their food. Even if there's nothing left, they'll still try and keep the vultures away. I mean, you can see this guy, very defensive. You know, as I was saying, he didn't eat that much earlier. Oh. Jolly Whiskey, there's actually quite a lot left for the vultures. Now, it's very hard to see. I mean, we can try and get Marcel to zoom in. A bit tricky, but you can see there's a little bit of red. I mean, look there. You can see the sun coming through the vertebra. So it's shining on that little thin, looks like a film of skin there. So the vultures will pick at that. They will eat all of that. So most of that is like sinew, just little bits of thin layers of skin and muscles. And the vultures can pick at all of that. You know, with their sharper, narrower beaks, they can get Jolly Whiskey maybe into the eyes, the tongue, the bits in the mouth and the head that the hyenas couldn't crack into. The vultures got their narrower beaks and such that they can get into those sorts of places. So for a vulture, which is, remember, although big, has got a relatively small stomach, it's quite a lot of food left on that carcass for them. And you'll see, I think, a couple minutes time, maybe 10, 12, 15 minutes, this hyena should leave. And then you'll see the vultures descend and how much cleaner the carcass will look once the vultures have eaten. So have a look. When this hyena starts to leave, we'll ask Marcel to do a quick scan across the whole carcass and have a look at the colors and how much meat's left. Then hopefully the vultures descend, and then you have a look. James, I was actually thinking about that earlier, and no, I have not seen any jackals around the carcass here. Could be a number of factors. This carcass we don't think is too old, you know. I think maybe, what's today? Today is Saturday. So I think they maybe caught this on Thursday night, like late Thursday night, very early Friday morning is when they caught this buffalo. So it hasn't been here too long. And also look around here, James. Very, very thick, lots of trees, lots of long grass. Not really jackal territory. Jackal's more sort of open, grassy areas. Think of that family of, what's it, like 5, 6 or 7 jackals that we see here on andBeyond Ngala. They're in a big open area. So, you know, the closest jackal to here, I think, is maybe 7 kilometers. So it's relatively far. Hasn't been much of a breeze. Look how thick it is here. Even if there was wind, the smell of this carcass would just swirl around. So it's very likely that the jackals just don't know that the carcass is here. And that's why there aren't any in the area. But generally, James, you are correct. Generally, there would be jackals around, being other little scavengers. This is when they would also be coming in. You know, they are below the hyenas, but they're like the vulture. They'll come in, grab a bit, run away with it. Just like we see the vultures doing. You know, watch here now. See how quickly that hyena took off? One of the ones from earlier is now back. There you see it coming out of the bush. And it's been discussed many, many times on Djuma with Ribbon and her den and the hierarchies and the structures about the hyenas, and that is exactly what we just witnessed. That hyena was feeding, was a younger, lower on the hierarchy hyena than this one. This one came in, that one was like, time for me to go. And you see how quickly it moved away. And it moved a fair distance away. And how's that? This one doesn't even eat. It just comes, chases that hyena away, and then it leaves. Very unnecessary. But while there's nothing happening here, we're going to send you back across to that very, very cool cheetah family on Karongwe.
At Ngala, well, our female cheetah at Karongwe has moved from her rock, and she's come out into that open area that we spoke about just moments ago. She seems to really, really enjoy the spot. And sorry? Oh, okay. Well, you're going to see a quick wipe across the screen. That is Alex. Don't worry. There's no technical difficulties. There's just a bit of glare, and all the lenses and things are starting to mist up a fair amount. Also, apologies for the shaking that you may see. We're trying to keep the camera as stable as possible, but today we will be building a throne, starting to build a throne that will hopefully help prevent this in future. So again, apologies for the technical difficulties. We're slowly working our way through them. But can you hear the birds alarming? Listen to this.
Yeah, we're going to have to reposition.
There's a couple of smaller species of birds, some waxbills, some tawny-flanked priniers that I've seen jumping around, long-billed crombecs that are very unhappy with the fact that this cheetah is sitting in this area. That's a little cub that you can see, so they're they're alerting everything to her presence. She's just sitting very still right now, and the little cubs have also been told to just sort of stay put. I think she's scanning and trying to... I think she's trying to just listen and get an idea and gauge of maybe where there's some impala. Obviously, impala are giving themselves away at the moment with all the ratting that's going on, the gurgling sounds from the boys. So maybe if she hears that, she'll head in that direction, although there's plenty of steenbok and duiker also hiding underneath these bush willows. There's so much glare coming in from the sun, but we can't move right now, so we will get better visuals of her. It's just quite difficult because the sun is rising so quickly and coming at the most awkward of awkward angles. If I roll back, could that be better? I think it's just the sun here. Yeah, we also don't want to move around too much in the sighting while she's here, especially when she's moved closer to the vehicle. So we parked and she's actually come and walked quite far out into the open. Well, it's relatively open to when we first found her this morning. So you can see how thick it is. So I don't want to put pressure on her. The cubs are still getting used to the vehicle. So honestly, in this situation, it's best to just kind of... I don't know what to do with the audio situation anymore. I'm just trying to see where we can kind of go, but we can't reposition. Sorry, we'll have to reposition when you jump on board with somebody else. We can try and fix this view. I want to roll all the way back and then try and get a better view. Just as the glare and from the sun is just on a whole nother level this morning, which means we're going to have another beautiful day. Okay, we're going to try and do this repositioning thing without disturbing any of the parties involved. If we go back to James, and I'm sure he's just bumbling around looking for all sorts of wonderful things.
Right, we found where the carcass came from that we found at the hyena den. And if you look sort of over here, you can see that something has been dragged along the road. It's been dragged down here, up here, across, and then down. And the perpetrator of this dragging, you can see here, is the hyena. So, well, I mean, I'm assuming it's the same carcass. This is the territory of the Djuma clan. There is a drag mark here. There's a bit of impala at the den. So the logical conclusion is that this is where the carcass has come from, quite by chance. So the other hyena was not heading towards where this has come from. Maybe we'll be lucky and we'll find whoever killed this impala. I doubt it was those hyenas, but maybe it was. So let's carry on along the drag mark. We're on the southern boundary now of Djuma. And they will drag along a road like this because it's easier. It's much easier dragging along a road than it is in a big thicket, or through a thicket. And so let's just see how far the drag mark goes. I'm not sure how many people have driven along this road. We could be sitting quite close to wherever it came out onto the road. In fact, I don't think I see it anymore. Yeah, I don't think I see the drag mark any longer on the road here. No. Just drive up here. No, it's definitely not here, which is interesting. Let's just do a little turn around. There's lots of little turnarounds that go along here when you're trying to find something. So to the left we can't go, but to the right we can. Just look in the trees maybe for a remaining bit of whatever this carcass is. Could have been killed in a thicket. And you see those hyenas will patrol at night, and they'll follow up on anything that they can smell. So it could have been up in a tree, but quite easily have been in a thicket. And I think the leopards are hoisting far less at this time of the year because there is a great deal of bush, thick bush cover everywhere. So it looks to me that it came along here, unless I'm very much mistaken. Alright, let's quickly go across to Trish. She's got an owl.
I do. It's a gorgeous pearl-spotted owlet. Hello, you. It's been an awesome day of birds. Now, I want to stay on it because occasionally it will call for us, which will be just amazing. These things are tiny. Blacksmith lapwings above us, and there are some squirrels also alarming in this drainage. Hear that? Now that drainage is the same drainage that the vultures were looking down into, and there's also a batelier around here. Also, they will scavenge. So it's definitely worth a look into this drainage. It will be around, I mean, I'll check, but there's one road that goes through. That's the one that comes out by Gallagher Pan. From here, I'm on Mvubu at the moment. Squirrel is still going. Unreliable, like we've said before. But still worth a check. But back to our owlet friend. You are gorgeous sitting in that little tree. Now these guys are really little. I guess the word owlet gives it away. Only about 70 grams or so. 70 to 80 grams. Little things. And just like owls, they are predators. They enjoy insects and rodents. Very, very cool little things. Erica, you'd like to know how long these owlets will live for. Well, they use their same nest for about 4 years, believe it or not. How old they actually get to? Let's check if our app has their age. Give me a moment. So far, it just has the same information I just gave you. But I will have a better look in a bit because I need to send you over to Taylor, who's got those cute cheetah cubs. And I definitely don't want to keep you from that. So let's go over.
Look at what we've got here. It's pretty amazing. These two little cubs, it's very glary. They've come out of the bushes and they've come right up to us. They are so curious. You can see a little bit nervous. I'm obviously keeping my voice very, very low. But when the two of them are together, they are particularly brave. See that? They turn around, they go back, and they're like, what's going on there? What is this? What is this thing? And Mom is nearby. Mom is actually taking interest in something else. She's hungry, so she's focusing. While the little ones are just kind of doing their own thing. You see, they keep going back to Mum for reassurance. But honestly, Mom has not looked at us, not even once. This is the closest I think that the cheetah have actually come to us. Ooh, they were just a few meters away. Okay, we're just sitting on the road. We repositioned probably a whole of 3 meters. Mom is still in front of us, not blocking view. Oh, bounce, bounce. Now they're going to chase one another around. So while these two are frolicking about and having a good time, obviously Mom's still working. I think she's got a good tactic, but I'm so happy for her that her two little ones have got one another. And now they're going to climb up and down the trees to keep each other entertained. Because can you imagine how tough it must be for a single mother to look after just one cub in this case? Constantly having to entertain them. So these two will play with each other and they'll copy one another. So monkey see, monkey do. If one jumps up and puts its paws on the tree, the other one is also going to try and do that. It is just really fascinating to just see how every day they get stronger and stronger and more coordinated. And cheetah do utilize trees fairly often. It depends what ecosystem they're in, but I've seen cheetah up in trees, oh my goodness, pretty much every area that I've ever worked, but typically in the Mara and the Serengeti ecosystems. Here, climbing up a tree might not help you see anything, it's so thick. Look at this, how cute it is. They might come right up again. One is deciding to come this way. Come on, oh, up the tree. Oh, that's precious. Now, they're not particularly big trees that they're climbing. Oh, that's adventurous. Be careful you don't wedge yourself on the fork, little one. Oh, down it goes. Not quite ready. Not quite strong enough to hold on just yet. But they bound up and down those rocks. Getting those little claws out. Oh, they've grown bored of that tree. That toy is no longer any more fun. And Mom seems to actually have gone back to sleep. She's taking a bit of a rest. But you can't see her just yet. Oh, sprinting back and underneath their favorite bush that they're playing in. Okay, I think what I can do, Alex, is I don't think we're going to lose signal here. I'm going to break the rules. What I want to do is I want to go forward a little bit because Mom was showing some interest in something, but she's now laid down and she's sleeping. The little one back behind the bush, they're not close. I don't want to start the car when the cubs are close, but I just want to get you a little view. I don't have to move much. 2 seconds. Can you see her? There she is. She's behind a few trees, but you kind of get the gist of it. And there's Mom. She's just sitting, so she's right there in case you were worried. Now she's looking behind her. Sorry, Alex has just dropped his spear, which is a very important tool that he needs. There we go, he's managed to find it again. He's back holding the camera. If he doesn't have that, sometimes he can't maneuver the camera. She does. A few comments coming through about how gorgeous this cheetah's eyes is. I do love that beautiful sort of deep, sometimes they almost look red. I can't wait to show you the cheetah males that are around here. They've got gorgeous eyes too. Very, very dark. She's still up and looking around. Ears pricked. Also, I think she's just shouted at one of the cubs for straying too far. That one there that's coming back. She made a little churring sound. And as Mom responded, oh, here we go. Hello. Again, this little thing is right out in the open. Oh my gosh, it's coming right to the car. I'm going to stop talking. I'm just going to sit quietly now. They are so close. I can't tell you how close they are. I don't want to zoom out so you can just get the best screenshots ever. Listen to them. Oh my goodness, isn't that so precious, Alex? Alex is going to try and show you, but they're chasing one another around. Okay, we're going to swing round. There's Mom. Alex is just going to move around slightly because the cubs are playing out in the open which would require little antennas, materials. She's not happy that those young cubs have decided to go on their own walkabout. That's just all the antennas at the back of our car. If we could only see how Alex was standing right now to get you this shot. Okay, where have the little cubbies gone? They've just disappeared behind the bushes. I think Mom is going to too, but they came within less than a meter of the vehicle. There they go. Whew. Just see a little blur of them running in and out of the mother-in-law's tongue. I have a suspicion that the mother-in-law's tongue is going to be, that's that plant growing out of the ground there. They're going to have lots of fun with that. Yes, chase one another, practice, tripping. Oh, poor Mom. Mom's like, just give me a break. Oh, look how quick they are, though. Look at that little extended trot they do when they flick their toes. Oh, that's so sweet. You can see she's quite happy. She's out in the open now. She's got the nice warmth on her. Her coat is drying out. The kids are happy. They're playing with one another, not annoying her and suckling on her. The little cubs have just run out of sight. But we can't. I don't want to move right now. I just want to let... Oh, they're at the car. Look at them. No, don't run away so far away from me. Come back. They're naughty. They've gone back to their original bush. Alex is now clambering over the vehicle, trying to keep his profile as low as possible, but also to allow you to see what is going on. I don't think that this burst of energy is going to last from these young cubs. They're like... Sorry, my mic is giving you audio issues. Sorry, this is me moving my mic into a better spot. Ooh. There they go, right behind the vehicle. And sorry everyone, again, Alex is going from pretty much all the way around 180 degrees. It's quite difficult. It is surprising that they are so fast at such a young age, but the problem is that they can't control, I think, the speed at which they run and which way their legs want them to go. You see, their tails are not long enough just yet to work as a rudder, which is typically what happens when they reach full maturity. That tail is nice and long, they have a flexible spine, and they're normally a little bit more coordinated than this, but it's very entertaining to watch them as they learn how to use their legs and use their tail to help compensate their body weight when they're going around corners at quite a speed. I think this is how you break the internet, is with young cheetah cubs sprinting around and finally some great views out in the open. What I'm hoping to do is, I can't see them right now, but I would like to try and have a look and see if we can't sex them. So if they suckle on Mom from this angle and actually sit still for 2 seconds, it might be a good chance for us to zoom on in and see if we've got little boys or little girls or one of each. So that's going to be the next step, but they're so fluffy at the moment that I think it might be quite difficult to see their nether regions, that will help tell us if it's a male or female. I'm not too worried just yet, though. They're still extremely young, and our views have always been so compromised. But maybe today will be the day that we do the gender reveal of the cheetah. That'd be quite exciting. I think you'd all love that. Hello, Gil. How are you feeling, Alex? He's going to shame. He's sitting in such a strange position. There we go. Little scratch on her paw, little groom. Now I'm a little bit envious, and I shouldn't be saying that because I've got a cheetah with 2 young cubs, but James is sitting with my favorite leopard in the whole of the Sabi Sand and her 2 little cubs. We have to put that on silent.
I actually don't know who I'm sitting with. First of all I can feel right now is a great sense of enormous relief / appreciation. We've got 2 leopard cubs here. I don't know who they are. I've never met them before. I thought Guchava, whose territory I think we're in, only had 1 cub, and I think these would be a bit old. And so I'm guessing that we're looking at Sibuyi's cubs. I could be totally wrong. So I think that's what's going on here. I'll tell you quickly how we found them. We were driving down the road, heard a monkey alarm call, drove off road, spotted an impala that's been hanging in a tree for a little while, and then little thing jumped out the grass in front of us, and we've got 2 here and possibly 3 leopards. I don't know where Mum is, because we've definitely got 2 youngsters. Let me just shift slightly forward so we can get a nice view of the one there on the ground, at least on the mound. But isn't this magic? Stop. I can't believe it. I don't know where Mum is. Mum must be around here somewhere. And no doubt this is going to provide us a little bit of entertainment for at least this afternoon as well. And hopefully Mum will return. So I don't know anything about these cubs. I don't know who's male, who's female. I don't know what their spot patterns are. I've actually never seen their mother, even if this is Sibuyi's cubs. So let's have a quick look at the spot pattern. That's interesting. She's a 1. A 1, 2. I think it's a little boy, actually, from the size of his neck. I think that's a 1, 2. 1, 2 male. I'm assuming it's a male, could be a female. He's quite a stocky little fellow. Looks a little bit like Osama when he was a youngster that age. I can hear a whole lot of alarm calling going on from a bird, so maybe Mum's not far away. And they have been feasting, clearly. And it was one monkey that got up on a tree, obviously saw, I don't know if it saw the leopard or it saw the carcass hanging in the tree, and thought, something ain't right here. The carcass looks like it's just been hoisted to me. It's a big adult male impala. Oh, you delightful, delightful animal, thank you. What a Saturday morning treat you are. Yeah, James Richard, possibly the world's premier leopard identifier, is confirming that these are Sibuyi's 2 cubs. And the question, therefore, is where is Sibuyi? Now, Sibuyi is not a leopard we see often. In fact, like I say, I've never seen her. Her territory is predominantly to the south of anywhere we're allowed to drive, and also to the west. And I suspect that this junction where we are now is the corner, a 3-way corner between Sibuyi south and west, Tandi north and central, and then Kuchava east and north. Oh, Sahara, it's actually much more simple than you think it is. And believe me, if my amazing ability to recognize things is anything to go by, anyone can do it. So, if you look at his face, now, you can see that on the side of his nose, just above the whisker line, there is 1 spot on the left, and then now as he's turned, you can see 2 spots on the right. Ooh, one of them's growling. Is Mum arriving? Is there a hyena? A snake? One of them was just giving a little growl. There we go, look. Well, mean, the choices we have this morning, absolutely spectacular. Let's go back to Taylor. Her cheetah cubs are playing, and we are not going anywhere from here.
Oh, man, I don't even know what to say. This has been such an overwhelming sighting to have these little cubs playing out and about. Now, again, of course, they've just moved out of sight. But you can see this is another reason why this cheetah likes to hang around in this area, as there's a bit of a depression, caused a bit, I think, from some erosion. However, it is filled up with the last of the rains, so that means that she doesn't have to go very far at all to drink water. And it's in a fairly open area, and I think she feels quite safe about doing this. Okay, we're going to risk it again. Lou, I know we're breaking rules, but we just seem to have such good signal here. I need to reposition. Are you happy? Is she coming out? Okay, maybe not. Well, I was going to make a minor reposition, but there we go. They're going to disappear down through that thicket, so we won't have much of a view now. As it's going to be tricky, but we're just going to wait for the cubs, because the cubs are most likely going to follow, unless we've been left on babysitting duty. As much as I'd love that job, I don't think she trusts me too much. Off she goes. Right, we'll try and get around and see if we can't get another view of those cute cubs, but I mean, you've got other cubs to go and watch, so back to James.
The little female, I think, is a little shyer than the male. There we go. Now we got some nice playful action. Are you right here, Dov? Shall I try and... I'm going to just try and get us slightly closer. I think Mum must be close by somewhere here. It has not been particularly well hoisted, that kill. And if a hyena comes past here, it has only to vaguely stand on its back feet and it'll pull it down off the tree. Got one. Oh, there's Mum. There's Mum. Hi, Mum. Nice to meet you. She doesn't look nearly as pleased to meet me as I am to meet her, I must say. At least we have the skill here to keep them kind of in attendance. Yeah, that's a little male, definitely. Well, I guess we'll follow them. I mean, I've got definitely nothing better to do today. Mum stopped off in the shade there, and the little female's still waiting here. I think let's wait for her. Can you see her there, Dov? I know it's not the best shot, but I think she's going to get up and move, and the others have stopped in the deep shade there, so I think let's wait for this little girl. You could hear fish eagles calling. She's not unrelaxed, but she's not as relaxed as her brother, I wouldn't say. I don't know how many vehicles these leopards see, especially recently. Alright, the other two have gone to ground. They're just having a snooze. Alright, so I'll tell you what, let me go back a bit and we'll see if we can't get a better view of this little female cub. And then maybe go around to where Sibui and the male are. The carcass is over there. And I think it's just been hoisted. It's definitely been fed upon for the last little while. And I've driven past this tree before, although I didn't see it from the road. So it's possible that it's been hanging there, but it doesn't look like it's been hanging there. It looks like it's been there for a while. Okay, the other two are moving down there, so I think let's move in that general direction. We'll just leave the little girl there for now. Now these chaps don't have names. I'm not getting into a debate on whether they have names or not. And so while we try and catch up with what's going on here, let's go back over to Trish and see what she is.
I have now decided it's all too tempting. I've been hearing squirrel alarm calls. There's a kudu walking around here. I also had an antelope alarm call, but I couldn't tell if it was this kudu or not. But I think it was some impala. And then we had a different array of vultures. We had a whole lot of white-backed vultures, as well as the white-faced vulture. In this drainage, all looking down, and each time they move away, they come back. So I'm very tempted. It's very difficult to get into this drainage. So I'm going to go round Mvubu Firebreak again and try to peer into the drainage. Okay, let's go around. That kudu, beautiful male, was actually sitting down. Almost hiding. Maybe he was just being relaxed. Maybe I'm being hopeful. Also, can I say how glad I am for James? Yeah, they're all around, these vultures. I'm so glad for James to see Sibuyi's cubs. Waha! That's amazing. He must be so happy. Now I just need to find us some lions to top off the day. Maybe we can have a cat trifecta with Taylor and her cheetah as well. That's just awesome. So let's go back to Taylor and her cheetah. I'm gonna get round and try to peer in to this drainage.
Look at what we've got again. They're going onto the rock. Go, little cheetah. Run, run, run. They've come right up to the car. They're moving around quite a bit. I hope they don't disappear for too much longer. So basically what they're doing is she's walking almost exactly the same route that she walked the other morning where we had our first spectacular sighting of her on the rock. If she sits down, okay, hold on. Can we reposition quickly? I'm going to go a little bit further forward. I only have to move only a meter or so, and then we'll have a good view of her if I can drive. That good, hey? More? More? Is it fine? Sorry. There, I rolled a little bit further forward for you. Sorry, everyone. We're just trying to... There's obviously working with little gaps here. But essentially what she's doing is that she's doing pretty much exactly the same thing. And I think this is her favorite hunting area that she comes through to start searching. It's also where we're very close to having the same or very similar baboon encounter. And they like to sit up on some of these big trees. But now that she's sat down and after playing for so long, those little cubs must be hungry. Like I said, those bursts of energy at this age don't normally last very long. And if you've ever had a puppy or a kitten at home, you know exactly how it goes. For 10 or 15 minutes, they run round and they play and they're all excited and they want to have the best time of their lives. And then they need to sleep for an hour or so. Then they pass out hard. So they've had a drink. They're going to be so full. I don't go much more. They've walked a fair distance, sprinting up and down. I think I'm just trying to reposition everything. Oh, worse. Now? Okay, there we go. Hey, my voice is not important, however, the cheetah cubs are. You can see Mom's not tolerating them suckling. Perhaps she hasn't really got any more milk in there. You can actually see, look how gaunt she is. And they're probably saying, but we're hungry, Mom. We're desperate for something to drink. But there just might not be anything left. And they'll be trying every single teat of hers to see if there's just any milk. They'll have their favorite ones. Now we can maybe see, shall we see if we can't see this one laying closest to us? Can we zoom into its tail and have a look? You see how fluffy they are? Can you see that? That's what makes it difficult to try and sex them. Oh my goodness, Shax, this is a very gloomy topic to talk about, but you've inquired about the survival rate of cheetah cubs. 10% will make it to adulthood. 90% of cubs end up not making it to adulthood, which is rather distressing, unfortunately, but this is because of a number of different factors, not only, as we've spoken about in great detail before, with cheetah being quite low on the predator hierarchy. So they are, well, they're threatened from hyenas to lions to leopards, and then of course things like baboon as well, will easily kill their cubs. And the other thing is that if they have to move their den too frequently, this is not great. They're quite vulnerable as well. I hope that you're trying to take some screenshots. I mean, we want to see if they're little boys and little girls, but it's a bit difficult. If they lift their tails up, it'll be quite nice. And then cheetah also, my goodness, they're involved in the pet trade, the illegal pet trade, which is quite sad, or wildlife trafficking trade. Cheetah cubs end up being pinched, whether they were bred in captivity or even in the wild, and sent all over the world. Oh, she got up quickly. She's tired of them. Hopefully, like I said, you've got some screenshots. And if you did manage to get a clear screenshot and can zoom in a little bit, I'd love your assistance. Even the ladies in Final Control who are directing the show, if they can see, we've got quite a bit of glare on our screens, which is not making it easy. Lift your tail up. And I don't think at this age you're really going to see the scrotum particularly well developed. But there's just so much fluff there, which is making it quite difficult. Yeah, everybody seems to be agreeing that they're just too fluffy at the moment to really be able to sex them accurately. But that's okay, we'll keep watching, and every opportunity that we get to stare at the precious rear end of a young cheetah, I'm sure none of you will complain. Yes, I do think that the cheetah cubs are the fluffiest of the cat cubs. Little lions, they're not as fluffy as this. They obviously don't have that mantle that extends all the way from the back of their shoulders and down to the bottom of their spine. Shame, that little one is very thirsty. I think Mom's going to have to work exceptionally hard today to try and catch something. You can see how she's dropped her head and her shoulders. There's also quite a few vehicles coming past. I apologize. But she has to sit and also look underneath this vegetation. You know, she hasn't got the same opportunities that the cats in East Africa have. It's tough for her. She must be just looking for little movements of legs, because that's sort of the only gap of vegetation that you get. The tops of the trees are filled with leaves, but they'll start to thin out in the next couple of weeks, next few months. A lot of these trees are going to lose their leaves, and then hunting is going to be a bit easier. Okay, Williamson, you're commenting on the amount of people watching today. You said currently there are 8,000 people watching this live. Wow. That is amazing. But why wouldn't you when you've got leopard cubs and cheetah cubs, you know, at your... Oh my goodness, all my words are disappearing from me today. I can't stop watching these cubs, and I keep trying to see if I can see if they're male or female. Anyways, at your disposal was what I was getting at. And you also said you hope that Trishala manages to find some wild dogs right at the end. Well, she's in the right spot. We're going to see good wild dog sighting. I think some of the best ones I've ever had have been in the Sabi Sand. It's been some time since I've seen a big pack of dogs. We've also got a pack of wild dogs at Ngala Game Reserve. I'm not sure when they're going to be released, but they are in the boma, and you may remember we had that interaction with the lion, a whole pride of lions here at Karongwe, and the wild dogs. So they will be released at some point, and then hopefully we'll get to see them more often as well as the cheetah. Then this cheetah is going to have to be careful, because those dogs will run up and down all day long. They can travel enormous distances, but so can cheetah. Cheetah can travel a fair distance in a short period of time. Now, Deborah, yes, this cheetah, the Karongwe female cheetah, is the only adult female currently. On these private game reserves, it's very important that you manage the number of animals that you have. It's not a controlled ecosystem, but you have to control it somehow, because migrations are very, very limited, and it's very difficult to find the perfect balance. So you don't want to have too many animals, otherwise this causes problem like overgrazing. So the cheetah that we've got is this female, and her two offspring, and then of course the 3 cheetah males who we had a brief sighting of yesterday. Sadly I didn't get an opportunity to show you, but now that we know that they're back in their regular routine and in the same areas, we'll hopefully get to see them, and they're beautiful. They're quite amazing. They've also got an interesting story too, but we'll get to that at some point. Shame, they're still trying to suckle. I don't know how much milk they're getting, especially if she's getting a bit annoyed with them and trying to shake them off every 2 seconds. You can see also swapping the teats, just trying to get every last bit of milk out. And it's important that they feed regularly at this age so that they can grow up to be big and strong just like their mum. That is so precious. Aren't we fortunate to see this? I honestly don't know when I was ever going to see young cheetah cub like this and have the amazing sightings that we've had. Definitely a moment of my life that I'll never forget, and I'll probably talk about all the time. Next up, we'd like a pangolin, please, because I don't believe that those creatures exist. I've never seen one, and the only time I've ever seen footprints of a pangolin are in Sri Lanka. So we'll have to add that to the list. If young cheetah cubs are possible, then I feel like anything is possible. And you can watch her tail just moving around slightly. She's thinking. I love watching the big cats when they move their tails around. You can tell so much. And also, now that we're looking at her tail, can you see how it's not as rounded as a leopard or a lion's tail? It's almost flattened, especially that tip. So we were talking about the youngsters racing around and not really being able to control their bodies. Well, for stabilization, the tail is important. So it's designed completely different to the rest of the cats. Like I said, they've got a flexible spine, they've got flexible hips, and then their tail is flattened so that they can act as a rudder and compensate when they turn around those corners at great speeds. And look at those powerful hindquarters. Definitely hindquarters of a sprinter. Narrow shoulders. Oh, they're amazing cats. I think the more and more I get to spend with her, the more and more I fall in love with Cheetah. Lions are my particular favorite cat. Caracal of the smaller cats. But this is just really fascinating to be able to see this. Now, Alex, you've just joined us. And I'm so glad that you have just joined onto the show, that you've got this spectacular view of the cheetah. You've inquired about the mane that the little cheetah have. So for those of you that are regular watchers and do tune in every single day, there are going to be times where we have to explain things every now and then. And I know some of you have already heard it. But it's just fantastic that people from all corners of the world can join in at any time. And perhaps this is their first safari. So, Alex, it's called a mantle. Like M-A-N-T-L-E, mantle. And essentially that sort of white fluff is there when they're born, and they don't have very many spots, so they almost just are black in color, and then have that white sort of very fluffy hair. It kind of makes them look like a honey badger, which is the most ferocious of all the animals in Africa. Despite its size and stature, it it definitely intimidates quite a few animals and a few people. So it's to help sort of, I suppose it also helps with camouflage. Every time Alex and I, who's on camera with me today, you guys share the same name, every time we see a log that's been burnt, maybe a fire or something has gone near, we stop here thinking, yes, we've got them. So they kind of blend in to the vegetation quite well. And then hopefully that contrasting coloration will be intimidation if they were to sprint away in the grass, and maybe an animal would think that they're a honey badger of some sort. Now, there are other creatures out there that mimic other species, which I think is quite fascinating. It's like, for instance, the bushveld sand lizard mimics a 6-spot ground beetle, which shows aposematic coloration, and it only does this in is only, now I've forgot what I was talking about. So sometimes it's hard to multitask. But basically what I was saying is that there's a small reptile that mimics a beetle. They're not even the same species while they're juveniles, to fool the rest of the creatures out there so that they don't get eaten. So it kind of does happen. Nature is amazing, and sometimes we can't explain why. But I suppose as technology develops, we'll find out more and more of these things. Mum, where are you going to go? You just changing position? Yeah, not going too far. You always see those little cubs, they always look bewildered as to say, why did you get up? We weren't quite finished just yet. And then of course the little one's attentions on the sound of my voice, I think the camera moving around, and then the fact that we're in this big green machine. They're going to be very naughty, these two little cubs, I can tell you that. They're already starting to show so much personality. That's a fantastic shot there. Just their little heads popping up. That's my dream picture, and I think for those of you that have been listening to Tristan in the evenings, he'd be envious that he can't photograph this. E.T., she might leave those cubs at a fairly close distance when she does go hunting. But I don't think she's going to leave them tucked away, for instance, like a leopard and lion for very, very long periods of time. I also think it depends on where the food is. If there's nothing around her and the cubs are really, really small, she might, disappear for a couple of hours. And like I said, Cheetah can travel a huge distance in a short period of time, try and look for something to eat, catch it, eat her fill, and then come back to the cubs. But what she's doing with this one is that she's walking them into other areas where there is potentially prey. And she's successfully hunted in this area before. There are so many impala, there are so many steenbok and duiker, and big cats, well, like most animals, most predators, are opportunistic feeders. So even though she's just sitting here and listening to us ramble on about all sorts of things and being annoyed by her cubs suckling on her, even though she hasn't got much milk to produce, she's still waiting for an opportunity or looking for an opportunity to potentially hunt something. So if a warthog ran past and there were maybe some small piglets, perhaps she will try and catch one of those, although warthogs are scary. They're tougher than you'd think, and they put up a big fight. Or if an unsuspecting duiker took a wrong step, her ears would prick and she'd be at it in no time. Remember, her hunting technique here is completely different to those out that are hunting in open grasslands. She's got to adapt to this denser vegetation, and it's not impossible. Cheetah adapt very, very well to most environments that they're put into. Lovely. I think we're probably going to move on from this cheetah now and give her a break. She's done a good job for us. So let's send you to James, who's probably sitting with his camera out and snapping away at the leopard cubs.
We've been doing mostly driving around because the leopards have been giving us a serious workout through the thick bush here. And we've got the male and the mother down in this gully, and the little female seems to be left behind. I'm regretting not staying with her now because these two have been very playful. She's been up and down into trees. He's been kind of leading the way, actually, and now he's invisible in this very, very steep gully. The temptation to walk over and stick my head over the top is overwhelming, but that would probably result in a fairly scratched face. So I'm not that surprised, I suppose, that they've left the carcass. I think they've been at it for at least 36 hours now, probably even longer. I'm sure they'll go back. They're probably going to sit in the shade here and have a drink for a while, and then maybe go back. And I think what we'll try and do is go back and see if we can find the female cub, because this is hopeless. It's hopeless from a filming point of view. Very satisfying from a being in the bush point of view, but hopeless from the filming point of view. I guess it does show you very effectively how easily leopards can hide. I mean, they're down in there, I can't even see a spot. There's a lovely kind of little rocky ledge there with a puddle next to it that I think they're drinking from. So we'll push through here. What a Saturday morning, hey? Bebe leopards, bebe cheetahs. It's going to take us about 5 minutes to get back to where the little female is. There's so many little puddles like that, you know, it's unlikely these two leopards would pitch up and drink from the dam here at Cheetah. We're on Cheetah, and there is obviously a big dam here. But leopards don't need very fresh water, they don't seek it out. They're very happy with the muddy, disgusting puddle, and so they probably won't go this way. Right, we're going to go and try and find the little lady leopard. Can you see them there? And while we do that, you're going to go back to Sean and find out what's happening at Ngala.
But you want to do it right here? Are you sure?
Yeah.
It's not far.
Okay, right.
Welcome back. Sounds like it's been a very exciting morning, as James said. I'm going to definitely go back and have a look at those leopards, well, the baby leopards and the baby cheetahs. Very, very cool. What we're doing, we left that carcass. The hyenas eventually disappeared. The vultures came in for a little bit, and then there was one feeding when we left. The rest of them were just sitting around. So we left it, had a quick look for the lions, and nothing that we could see, no fresh tracks in the area. I couldn't get a direction from the carcass where they went. But possibly, depending on what we find up here now, possibly this afternoon, I think we'll head back south. But what we're going to do, look for a place for Marcel to do his fact of the day, and in the meantime, we're going to send you across to Trishana.
I am still here. Yes, I am. I've been looking through the bushes, and I've found nothing, unfortunately. This drainage line is particularly thick, but there's still vultures hanging about. Now, I've been switching off to kind of listen as I go, because my assumption would be if there are vultures around, different types, as well as the bats here, as well as the alarm calls, I am thinking lions on a kill. In which case, considering the acoustics of the drainage, I should be able to hear them. Let me just put myself back into normal gear. There we go. In which case, I should be able to hear them. At least, you know, chomping on the bones, those carnassials at work, shearing the meat off the bones. The occasional growl, but none so far. But I really do feel like there's something in there. When you get a variety of scavenging birds, it's a good indication. So I'm going to try maybe again from Galago Pan. If they are, in fact, chomping down on maybe a buffalo or something else down there in that drainage, to come up for a drink, Galago Pan would be the closest. So let's get back there. It's about predicting their behavior as well. Some places, like you can see, are inaccessible. That would just be amazing if we managed to get them. gosh, with all the cat action today, we've completely forgot about the ellies. Love to get some ellies in by the end of the show. But I haven't smelt them very much, nor have I seen many of their tracks. This drainage has bitten me now and I can't get over it. It's just making me wonder. Now last night Owen also heard some commotion. Faintly, he reckons probably in the drainage, which is this exact same drainage. Oh, look, it's a... Let's start with our lilac-breasted roller. Lilac-breasted roller. Oh, you want to fly away? That's fine. There's the Battlier. There we go. There's the white-backed vultures on the other tree as well. Oh, it's just behind for you, Owen. It's fine. I'll roll forward. You got them? There we go. There's the white-backed. And then also, rolly Mahindra, roll along, Mahindra. Okay, that's as far as Mahindra wants to roll. The white-faced was still around. Or white-headed. Erica, you'd like to know if there are any vulture species that are nocturnal. Not as far as I know. Very few birds are nocturnal. Of course, we get nightjars and owls. They have special adaptations in their eyes in order to be able to do that. Also, oilbirds. We don't get oilbirds here. But oilbirds are really, really cool. They actually use audible echolocation. Almost bat-like. And that makes sense because it's what an example of convergent evolution. When two animals have a similar problem, they want to occupy a similar niche or want to do the same job, but they're in different lines. One is a mammal, one is an ave. Bird, and they come up with a similar solution. So now the oilbird uses clicks, and so do bats. Yep, there's more vultures all around as well. Owen's just pointing them out. There's something going on here, guys. I need to find out. All right, I'm going to spend the next 20 minutes of drive moving around here, but I'm going to send you back over to James and his leopards.
We've come back to where the little female is. She just seems a little more timid than the others, and so we've kept quite far away, well, about 20 meters or so. She's not exactly terrified. And she looks like a 2-2 spot pattern. So we've got a 1-2 and a 2-2. You might just be able to pick it up there. See, 2 just above the whisker line, and 2 the other side. And it's just, James Richard, I'm not sure how old they are. They must be, these things must be almost a year old now. Are they 8 or 9 months, maybe 9 months old, maybe 10 months? I don't remember exactly. And it's so clear who's the male and who's the female, and how stocky he's getting already in comparison with her. It was just like when we had Osana and Shongile, for those of you who remember them. Tandi's much younger siblings. The little female Shongile unfortunately died, we don't know how. And the male is now a very established male near Singita. What can she see? very regal. Neil, it's not as simple as that, I'm afraid. If leopards could have precocial offspring, I imagine they probably would, but you know, a precocial offspring requires less parental care, obviously, and so there is therefore probably easier to look after. But it doesn't necessarily have a better survival rate. So impala babies are all precocial when they're born, but 50% of them don't make it to their first birthdays. Trying to think of an altricial baby that has a better survival rate. No, she can't. So I guess it's probably better for precocials, higher survival rate, but a lot of that particular, a lot of being precocial comes with tremendous cost. So although the cost doesn't come at the stage of the youngster, so in other words, the cost to the individual, or the cost to the species, the physiological cost happens when the youngster doesn't survive, whereas the physiological cost for precocial youngsters is that the mother must suffer the physiological, or bear the physiological cost, if that makes sense. So I suppose while precocial youngsters might have a better chance of surviving, there is probably an equal physiological cost. You are being very naughty now, my girl. We'd really quite like a picture of you with your head in the sun there. Shall we try? Oh, here she goes. So I've given you a slightly complicated answer, possibly not what you were looking for, but I think that's the most accurate way I can describe it. There she goes, she's straight in front of us. I think the others might be coming back, or Mum's calling. That's also possible. Right. Hugely exciting day today. Cheetah cubs, leopard cubs, and now Marcel's incredible fact of the day.
Good morning, everybody. It is time for our highlight of the day. Now, Marcel is quite scared for his job, so he said I couldn't be behind the camera. So here I am. But here we go, Marcel.
Thanks, Sean. So, Squadron Commander Edwin Harris Dunning was a pilot for the Royal Naval Air Service. He was born on the 17th of July 1892, and then on the 2nd of August 1917 he became the first person to land an airplane on a moving ship when he touched down at Sopwith on the HMS Furious. So yeah, it's quite cool, and unfortunately he passed away while attempting to do it again 5 days later. And yeah.
So that is one of the first facts from Marcel that I actually understood the entire thing. So very, very cool. Very interesting. Yeah. Imagine landing a jet or a plane on a moving boat.
He was also born in South Africa.
And Marcel says, and he was even born in South Africa. So that's something us South Africans can claim, which is very exciting. But now it sounds like the tracking teams that have been out and around here are on tracks of leopards and 2 lions. Haven't managed to find them, but they are looking, they are following. So we're going to head in the direction that the tracks are heading towards. See if we can give them a hand, help out, and see what other interesting things we can learn this morning. Marcel was running some facts by me earlier. Always educational here at andBeyond in Ngala. Ah, there we go. So Marcel's giving us a little teaser saying that tomorrow the fact shall be sports related. Okay, so while we have a look to see what we can find, what help we can give, it sounds like Trishala has a mystery of a scavenging bird.
I do have that mystery. Problem is I've been now Galagopan Road, tucked into the bushes there, and I'm still finding nothing. That white-headed vulture is still around. But I just saw it actually go and catch a thermal. So it could have been that all those vultures were just sitting there because they thought it would be a good spot for the ground to warm up so that they would be able to catch a thermal. But in fact, we can see them. I am still suspicious. They're in the distance, just above the power line. Can you see them there? There we go. And there's 4 of them. Maybe they led me astray. Maybe they did, but I guess this afternoon we'll have to check it out, too. So they're going to look, because these are heavy animals, they're going to look for a nice pocket of warm air that's going to be rising from the ground. And that will assist them with being able to hold these bodies up and create some lift. That's why they only flap just a few times to get themselves going. Flying and flapping your wings takes a lot of energy. So they're trying to conserve as much as possible. And that's what we call riding the thermal. They look really cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hi Neil, you're 6 years old and you're from Singapore. You'd like to know, why do vultures like everything dead? Dead trees, dead animals, everything's dead. Oh. Well, Neil, it's because that's a gap. You know, Neil, when you want to start a business or you want to be better than your friends at something, then you have to find out what everyone else is bad at, don't you? So that you can be good at that. And we call that finding a gap. And vultures found a gap in riding thermals, not using their wings to flap too much, to use too much energy. They found a gap in the fact that not other birds come and scavenge on things. It's basically them, bateliers, occasionally a tawny as well. So instead of going and catching their own and wasting energy like that, they found a gap in the market where they could just go down and scavenge instead. And as for dead trees, same thing. Lots of animals don't hang out in dead trees, so it's a nice space. But apart from that, they have really long wings, in excess of a meter, meter and a half, even longer. And so those long wings need space to get off the tree. And if there's branches and leaves in the way, then they're just going to be hitting their wings on things. So they need a dead tree. I know it's strange that they like dead stuff, but just like how hyenas like bones and things like that, other animals maybe don't eat and don't like, they found a gap. We call that gap, or that special job, just for them, we call that a niche. It's just like in our communities where everyone has their own job. And we can't have everyone do the same job. Hi Monique, you'd like to know how do they know that the air is warm and that they can ride the thermal? You can actually see, well, you and I can't see, but you can see when there is a change in temperature and density of the air. If you have ever dived, you would know that you could see thermal or thermoclines in the water where there's colder water, warmer water. Similarly, they are able to sense even on a visual level, not plain sight as you would maybe think that they do, but they are able to sense visual level when air starts to rise and is warm. Just like you can in an extreme case of the tar on the road and the air above it getting really warm and you can see it. With their excellent vision, and they do have excellent vision, they are able to even sense that kind of thing. There's little pockets. Hi, Arena. You say the Nkuhumas have a buffalo kill on Mala Mala. Is it possible that the vultures we're seeing here are from there? It's very unlikely. I mean, they could have gone there as well, but it's very unlikely that they are hovering about here, hoping to get to that kill, because Mala Mala is quite far from here, much further down south. So, very unlikely. I'm almost central kind of area of Djuma, and Mala Mala is way past south. So it's very unlikely that they can see it or anything like that. In fact, it's probably impossible. So they have their own thing going on in that drainage. And they have now dispersed. They can fly very, very high. Cal6, you'd like to know, how is young Pegasus? Did I bring him on drive this morning? Oh, there they are again, further up. Let's watch them. Young Pegasus is taking a rest. Maybe I should break Pegasus out again so I can find some lions. But young Pegasus, thank you very much for asking, is doing well at home. There they go again. Well, I can tell you one thing, it definitely is warming up, so they've chosen a great time. And they do, like I said, fly very high. I think the highest was the Griffin Vulture, was it Griffin? It was 11 kilometers in the air. And that's as high as I think James is at the moment with those leopard cubs.
Right, so we've got Sibui now, and the little female's just behind her. Oh, and the male. Oh, they're all there. I can just, there's a lot of bush around here. Yes, it's just the two of them, I think. Phew, we've done some driving. But wow, what a reward. The little male must be around here somewhere, I would have thought. So I suspect what they'll do is just rest here in the shade until this afternoon, when they get hungry again, and then head up towards their carcass. This is what I'm hoping is going to happen, of course. And then that carcass will almost certainly be stolen. Well, I mean, it's sitting now in a pretty obvious tree, and it's not very high up. Maybe she'll hoist it a little further, and in so doing secure her meal for a little bit longer than she might have otherwise. Yes, Nemesis breaks. We think that lions, at least leopards, probably are slightly stronger than lions pound for pound, but I don't know how much stronger. Probably maybe like sort of, I don't know, 1.2 times the strength. They're certainly able to lift at least their own body weight up into a tree, which is massively impressive when you consider how hard it is for a human being to lift even their own body weight up into a tree. Now she's going to see her son maybe, or maybe she'll just go back to the kill. Bronwyn, adult leopards are solitary because that is the strategy that works best for them. It helps them to stay hidden, to stay out of sight of potential rivals, and it's just the strategy that they've adopted, and that is in fact much more common amongst the cats than is sociality. And it's because their nature is generally secretive. They don't seek out company. Their secretive nature allows them to survive in competition with other predators in similar areas. So leopards and lions coexist in the same places because one of them obviously has a slightly different food niche. These guys eat smaller things, but they're also able to stay out of the way of the competition. So, I mean, it's that old discussion of the niche again. These guys have a spatial niche, and their spatial niche is such that it's more advantageous to be social than it isn't, basically. That's probably a deeply non-committal answer, but it is the best one I can give you. I think a more interesting question in many respects is, why are lions social? And at least we think all cats are colorblind. Yes, they're not totally colorblind. They don't see in black and white. They see in various shades of greens and blue, so they cannot see red. And yes, that does seem to be the case for all of them. Jeepers, we have really had a show today. Spotty cats and spotty scavengers. Vultures. Oh, it's just very special to have had an experience like this with this special cat, who I've never met before till today. And let's hope we have her this afternoon. Hello, Beans Watson. It is our pleasure to have given you joy this morning with all of our hard work. I must confess, as far as hard work goes, I mean, I've had harder jobs than this. Teaching the guitar to small children was a lot harder than taking game drives in this magnificent area. Right, well, that's probably going to be it from us. Oh, they're both there. Oh, look, they're both little cubs. That's a great way to end. Someone will come back here this afternoon and we'll see if these chaps aren't still sitting around, hopefully in their tree, with the gorgeous setting sunlight on them. But in the meantime, we'll just be very grateful that we've had this beautiful day with them and with the cheetah cubs. And thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for your questions and comments, and enjoy your Saturday wherever you happen to be on planet Earth. Bye-bye.